And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Jason D. Wiliams. This is also Jason D. Wiliams right here.
Hey, Earle, how are you?
Man, you really rock. I remember the first time I saw you, I went, who is that? And I said, that is Jason D. Wiliams. And you were just a kid. Actually, Hal Lansky was telling me the story. You came to Memphis. You were from El Dorado, Arkansas?
Yeah, down in South Arkansas, El Dorado. And I'd been at the time in Atlanta. And I had left on tour from El Dorado with an old rockabilly guy who was just unbelievable. Instead of coming to Sun, he went down to Houston with Willie Nelson. That his name was Sleepy LaBeef. Became one of the legends of rock and roll. And I went on tour with him first, and then I wound up in Atlanta. And I was coming back to see my folks in El Dorado, Arkansas, and a snowstorm stopped me in Memphis, Tennessee, 1982.
And I understand it. You came here to the Peabody.
Yeah, my car stalled out right in front of the Peabody.
Was that?
The snow stalled me out. It wasn't my car. I had a pretty good car.
But what luck! You stalled out in front of the Peabody.
And I had a captive audience. No one could leave, and the piano player didn't make it in due to the snow.
But you just happened to play the piano.
I did, and I asked him, could I play Happy Birthday? The lady there said, she said, "Well, can you play the piano?" I said, "I'm not bad." So I sat on the piano, and we had a great time. The Bells family were there. They welcomed me into the Memphis world, and it was just great. Had a lot of fun.
I understand Gary, who was a good friend of mine. In fact,
Yes.
Gary and his wife put us up here, my wife and I, for our honeymoon in the Romeo and Juliet suite. And I knew him back when we were all single, and I thought we were wild until I saw you. And
Yeah.
but he's also in the music business out in L.A. So
Yes, he is,
when he
yeah.
saw you, he said, "This guy's got talent." How old were you then?
Well, let's see. I was probably 22.
So very young. And so, but you knew, and I understand you were self-taught. So did your family have a piano?
Well, we had one. My dad sold some Murphy oil stock to buy my first piano, and I
Wow.
always asked him, I said, "Did you ever regret that?" And he said, "Not for a minute." Of course, he bought some Walmart stock.
Yeah, so he did okay.
Yeah, the week it went out.
When you look back, though, and your interest in it, because it happens so many times that people who are really genius at things, and I think you really are a genius at your music. Nobody does it like you. Even Jerry Lee, he had his style. You still have your style.
Yeah, you couldn't. My issue there, not that it was an issue with Jerry Lee, but you couldn't. There was no way to copy. A lot of people copy, and to be compared to Jerry Lee was the only thing in the book that I could be compared to. But I knew that if Jerry was doing something, it wasn't the lick or the energy or whatever, the technique on the piano that Jerry inspired me with. It was where his mind was when he was playing the piano, and that was always very interesting to me. He was the piano's a percussion instrument, so the way he would approach a percussion instrument was always fascinating. And then his just creativity on the piano, and that's what inspired me. Not his licks or his showman. I was playing with my foot before I ever saw Jerry Lee. Kids come up, my parents say you play with your feet. I say, well, my hands too, though.
They're in there.
There's a big difference, but that's all for show, but it's fun.
You're the other thing, because I've kind of gotten to know you over the years. I've seen you so many different times, and I tell people, so he's just an incredible performer. But when you get him away and just talk to him, unlike Jerry, because I've met Jerry a number of times, you're a very soft-spoken person. You're a very sincere person. I mean, you actually carry on conversations with people, which a lot of entertainers don't. They say, "Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Bye." But I see you having discussions with people in between breaks and before and after shows, and you sit and talk to them.
Well, because I always thought, without them, you're nothing. And somebody caught me one time signing a bunch of autographs, and I was doing like that, a whole line of people. they said, least you can do is look them in the eye. And I was very young, and I thought, absolutely. I mean, it's I'd been taught that anyway, but I thought, well, of course. I mean, it's just the most beautiful thing. I mean, they're there to see you, and so, yeah, you're right. There's a sincere factor to me that. But I have a lot of fun too.
You do, absolutely. But I think that's what makes you so appealing to other people, is they're having a great time, but you're having a better time, and now you got your family playing with you, and everybody. And I think that's another great thing about you. You play with your family. Your wife is very involved. She's in real estate. That's her gig.
Right.
But you're also very involved. And another telltale thing about you is that you're a birder. And love watching birds. So does your wife. In fact, her signs say Jennifer Bird
Williams. Right? Yeah. No, we've been I've been bird watching since I was a child. Maybe I think I was the youngest person in the Audubon Society at the time. Joined. I was 5 years old, and I'm 66 now. And so, anyway, I've been birding. It's a passion.
It is.
From rock and roll music and boogie woogie and traveling, it was something to relax and enjoy,
but the contrast, rock and roll,
big contrast,
and then you go to the quiet and listen to them sing their songs, and the forest and just the colors.
And I did hear you mention a while ago that you and Gary were single and crazy at one time till you met me.
Yeah.
Well, Gary was my manager for a while, and we were in a car in New York City, and we were passing what's the big Carnegie Hall up there, and it was a summer day, and the doors were open, and in there, way down there at the stage, we were in a cab. They were moving the piano across the stage. Gary said, "Stop the car, stop the car, stop the cab." We got out. He took my arm, jerked it, and we went down there. He said, "Jump up there, hurry." And these guys were moving, and they just kind of backed out. And he said, "Play that piano, play it." And so he took a picture, and he said, "As your manager, I had you play at Carnegie Hall." I said, "Well, okay, Gary." That's what. Yeah. So I did play Carnegie Hall under the management of Gary Bells.
Well,
I did a lot of other things too. We had a key to every room here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. The police don't. I mean, there's still some files out there on us. I don't want to discuss that right now, if that's all right. Is that okay?
It is. It's like me when I went to work for the sheriff's office as the spokesperson, and they had to call all my friends across the country to do my background check. And they're going, "What'd you get him for?"
Oh, yeah, because you're right.
But,
I didn't know you worked for the sheriff. Now I do remember, yeah. So we really didn't have a key to all the rooms, just so you know. I mean, don't go checking
up that story.
Don't go checking things out. I mean...
What has been the best part of all this ride that's continuing for you? I mean, you're bigger now.
No, we're I think last summer we went on tour with Dale Watson. I was in the middle.
You were playing with him last night.
Yeah, Dale. Yeah, he's wonderful. Just a genius writer, wonderful entertainer. But we went. He was Dale Watson, me, and then Reverend Horton Heat, Jim Heath. And we sold out 40 shows, 40 straight, all out in starting New Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, Baltimore, California, all the way up to Canada. And that rejuvenated me. It was really fun. I had not been out to the West in a long time, here and there, just a solo show or two. And then we went out there 40 days and 40 nights, and we sold out. 1,000-seat was the smallest place we saw.
Wow.
And it was just beautiful. And I came in, and people had Polaroid pictures. Here, I haven't seen you in 30 years. So it rejuvenated. We're going back on tour we start in July, I think. And one of our shows is here in Memphis, Tennessee at Roosters on Highland. And
that place is hot.
On July 3rd. So if there's any tickets left, come get them. We're going to have fun. Me and Reverend Horton Heat.
Your shows are so energy packed. I really don't know how you do it, but you've been doing the same things since you were young. Is it doing it that keeps you young? Do you have to do that?
Well, I tell you, I exercise a lot. Run 2 or 3, 4 miles a day. I'm taking. I forgot to mention I got 6 heart stents. and I didn't need them. I just had them put
ahead of time.
Yeah, to open up my veins and
preventative.
all that. Well, I think I needed one, but this doctor here, he only had one house and one boat. Now he's got yachts and everything. but listen, I feel great, and so no, I tell you, back then when I was doing what you described, high energy, I had that 24 hours a day. Now I have shrunk it to just down to that hour I play that show, and that's fine. That's what But I've noticed. How old are you? You in your 40s yet? Are you
just over?
A little over.
There's a 4 in it. I'm 74.
Oh, really? People ask me how old I am. I say, well, I'm closer to 40 than I am 90. And they start doing the math. It took me a long time to figure that out, really, myself. And my wife's real smart, but she, we had to do some math on that. It was hard, close. And I think I'm not right on that either. Now I turned another year older.
Well, they go by too fast now, so you can't keep up.
No, they do. Yeah.
You live on a 100-acre piece of property over in Arkansas. And is that the birds bring you to Arkansas? Is that why you went there? Do you just like living in the country? And do you do any farming?
No, remember I told you my dad bought some Walmart stock.
That's what it was.
And or I would be a bird. I'd be living in a nest. We've done well. My wife, real estate, and like I say, I probably tour 125 shows a year.
Wow.
And so we do. We have our home here in Memphis, but I have a farm over there in North Arkansas. And it's beautiful, and it is for nature and birds, and I love it. I just go relax. It's in a real sort of a hidden village up in North Arkansas, Cherokee Village.
Sure, I know exactly.
And it's just absolutely beautiful. The lakes are clear, and people are wonderful.
First bluebird I ever saw was on the Little Red River over Greer's Ferry. Yeah. And I'd always thought I'd seen bluebirds before until you see one, and you go, that is a bluebird. And they're almost iridescent.
Well, that was not a bluebird. That was called an indigo bunting. And a bluebird is not completely solid blue. He has a red breast. And this bird you're describing, sounds like, and they're iridescent.
Yeah. And that's what I saw.
That's called an indigo bunting. They're beautiful.
Well, I never have seen anything.
What time of year do you remember? Well, you were on it was summertime.
It was in the spring, yeah.
Yeah, spring there.
And they've got a bunch of
they migrate feeders here, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But you still live here, and there are people. I moved here when I was in 1978. I moved here, and I was 28 years old, and I got here, and I thought I'd be here a couple of years. But I think people that aren't from here that move here appreciate Memphis a lot more than native Memphians because it's a very
I agree with
city.
that. Yeah, in some cases, in your case, yeah, for sure.
It's just when I came here, I didn't know a living, breathing soul. Within a year, I knew just about everybody because it's like a big little town.
Well, what you've done is wonderful too. That's incredible. And it's your personality and the things you've done for this city and Memphians welcome that, don't they?
They do.
It's one of the warmest places and friendliest places I think I've ever been.
I agree.
Things have changed over the years, but not so much that it's still not one of the finest places on earth to live. I totally stand behind that.
And the food's incredible. Your stints and my bypass can attest to that.
Yeah. I had to go I was wearing this large jacket, and a cat came up a while ago and said, I gotta have that. And I said, well, I'm wearing it. He said, you're Jason D. Wiliams. Said, I want to buy that off of you right now.
He did. And literally tried to buy the jacket off of him.
Yeah, so you tell Hal Lansky that
this ain't for sale.
Hey, and remember Mr. Lansky, Bernard, way back, Hal's daddy.
I knew his dad.
Great man. That was back when I was playing here at Peabody, and I'd come in, he'd be a lazy Saturday afternoon. I was going to put on a show that night up there at Mallard's, and he'd go, well, come on in, Jason, a young man, come on in. I'd come in, and boy, next thing I know, I'd have the nicest suit on and everything, and I'd just walk out and do my show. I never knew who paid for it. Well, it was Daddy Jack that was paying for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Daddy Jack Bells, but I was making about $6,000 a night up there in that
You made him a lot of money. You were worth the suit, I think.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. One time, a guy came and said, "I want to give you $2,000 to play my show." And I went to Gary and I said, Gary, man, this is exciting. A guy's going to give me, I was making $250 a night plus, tips. And I was so thrilled with that, but a guy's going to pay me $2,000. And I went, Gary, boy, this is exciting. He said, what's wrong with you? If you go do that, we're going to lose $6,000 a night. And right then I had to learn math real quick. I said, well, wait a minute now. I'm making $250 and they're making $6,000 a night. But anyway, I didn't care. It was the greatest time of my life. I still don't, do money very well, but I play a hell of a piano.
Well, that's what your wife is for. She figures out the money part.
Listen, that wife of mine, I've gotten awards, I've gotten plaques, I've gotten my name in streets and on billboard and everything, and not one time should it have ever been my name. Should have been her name. Every single time, in the sidewalks and because without her, I wouldn't have nothing.
Well, I think that's true of most men, is that it is the women that we're with that...
I agree. No, you're not going to get me to disagree on that.
Especially on that.
I like women, but I like this one I'm married to the best.
There you go.
She's the best. She's a winner.
Yeah, you said the right thing.
Earle, I've learned from you. You got a beautiful wife, too. We married way up.
Oh, way up, yeah. And I can't even play the piano. Yeah.
Well,
so I had to use every resource I had.
Well, that's the end of that conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't say another word.
That will.
Do you have a lot of young people come up to you because that's when if you have some talent, you want to do something with it, and ask you, how do you make it in this business? Because it's a tough business.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy at this point, although my son just graduated 2 days ago, Christian Brothers High School here in Memphis, Tennessee, and he's going to Arkansas, University of Arkansas, but he has started playing. I'll tell you, Earle, 1 second he could not play the piano. He said, Dad, show me a little something on the piano. I did, and I just walked away. The doorbell rang. I went in there, and I answered the door, and their eyes were big as silver dollars. He looked at me and said, if I'm looking at you, who's playing the piano? And I walked back in there, and I swear to you, that boy was tearing that piano up. He's been playing 2 years. He's playing all over. He's playing here at the Peabody now in my footsteps. But you've got to tell him, and anybody that meets him, tell him he needs to go get that degree first. And then after that, whatever he does after that, play. I wanted him to play. When I could see he could play, I said, well, you need to have that in your heart, play just to have. Rest your life.
Yeah.
But he kept progressing. It's scaring me. I don't want him to be a musician. I'll tell you, I heard that guy with, one of those funny groups, big groups, that guy anyway. He was doing an interview. This was 20 years ago. And he said, big one in big rock groups, got long hair and all. Well, they all got long hair. But anyway, and he said, when I first started, there were 60 touring bands. Now, this was 20 years ago when I was here in the interview. He said now there's 6,000. So how many do you think there are now? To your point about it's hard in the music business, so that's why I said I wouldn't wish it on my... But for him, I said, listen to anybody but me and Jerry Lee Lewis. And that's all. I get in the car. He's got one, me and Jerry. I said, Memphis Slim. Phineas Newborn, I mentioned the two.
Yeah.
And anything other than me and Jerry, you got that.
Well, the thing is, it's so distinctive. My mother-in-law had taught me piano for most of her life, and I just said, I'm going to learn how to play one song. And she'd go, okay, what is it? I said, Great Balls of Fire. She goes, it ain't going to happen.
I can teach it to you.
I said, is it hard to learn? She said, you got to start off with dun, 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 and work your way up from there. But I said, if I could just walk into a place, in fact, I saw it happen when I was in the 7th grade. We'd give this little Coke party, back when it was Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And this girl and this guy rolled up on a Dreamsicle, a Honda Dreamsicle. Remember, it was white.
Yeah.
Had that flared rear fender.
Yeah.
And he had bleached hair. And he walks inside, and he sits down at the piano, and they play that duet together, that dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And they played it together. I said, well, I'm leaving on my bike because this guy can play the piano. He's got a dreamsicle and bleached blonde hair, you know.
He put you to shame.
I had nothing.
No, but, well...
Is that when you really fell in love with it? Was when you played out in front of some other people and you got the response?
I was a little kid, and the first time I ever played in front was at a nursing home. And to this day, I go to a nursing home. I say nursing home, whatever they're called these days.
Retirement community.
Yeah, which I'll be in not too long, but it don't make any difference. I go and enjoy those places because that's the first place I played. I was a kid about 5 years old. My Granny was in a retirement home, and I went over and I played the piano. They had all circled around, and they clapped. And boy, I cried and ran to my mom, and then I looked around. They were still clapping. I thought, I like this. so I went back and played again, and that's how it started. And so I've never forgot that. And every city I try to go to a place where, you know, a retirement home or something, and play, and they're fun. And today, they're paying you, not me, but my son has already played some locally here and in other cities too.
Your son, Canyon, who I just met just a minute ago, he's playing here, but Hal told me, he said that he could play here, but he said don't play anything but boogie woogie and rock and roll.
Yeah, which he likes to play the most. When he applied here, they said, well, listen, we'd love to have you and everything. Just don't do any of your dad's stuff on the piano. And I don't know how to take that, but I guess it's all right.
Well, they probably want to keep the mood real calm.
Yeah, I told him, I said, Canyon,
nobody stays calm when you're playing.
You're lucky to, you know, they're very kind and gracious to let him play here, and he's doing well. And but he was down Hernando's Hideaway, that old honky tonk here in Memphis. That
Jerry Lee's old hangout.
Yeah, Jerry Lee's old hangout. You know, when I would play here years ago, I would tell everybody when it'd be 2 a.m. And I'd say, okay, it'd be still a packed house up there. And I say, okay, we're all going down. And a lot of people that played at Mud Island would have already done their show, and they'd be sitting in there. I mean, Prince, every name act you could imagine back. And I say, okay, we're all going down to Hernando's Hideaway. They'd look around, where's that? And so I'd get in my car, and we would have a caravan going down there. And there was an old lady down there. You walked in a door, kind of like a cattle gate, and then there was a small little area, and an old lady back behind the kind of a little gate there, and she had a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and she'd look you up and down. You remember going down, and she'd look you up, and she'd either do like that or that, whether you could come in or not. And
she was always the gatekeeper.
Yeah, gatekeeper. She was a real live gatekeeper, and so you'd go in, and then Jerry Lee would pop in. Never knew where. Or saw Roy Orbison come in one night, and we just had it was a great time down there.
You know,
Jerry Lee learned a lot from me down there.
What was it like the first time you met Jerry Lee?
The embryo stage, or when?
I'm just saying, what was the encounter like?
Yeah, the encounter was great. I was about 10 years old in Arkansas, and he came to do a show there, and so that was the first time I met him. But re-met him several times over the years before I moved to Memphis, and we became very close.
Because I understood that at first he was kind of standoffish, but as he saw you for who you really were, you weren't trying to take his place at all.
No.
And you told him
that'd be hard to do for any human.
And you told him how much you admired him, and I think he thought you presented yourself so well and so respectfully, and were really good, that he really couldn't complain about it. And then you actually got to know you, and you got to be friends.
Good point. Yeah, it was total respect from me to a talent like that. And still to this day, you know, way back. When he would do shows, they might film him, and at a college or at a small event or something, take that reel and put it up, and it was never to be seen again till this YouTube thing has come out.
YouTube.
and you can see everything did.
Yeah.
Back good, bad, and indifferent. And they could, they would, so you're seeing things, so kids now can look at that, and I'm quite sure they're very confused at what an idiot. When I tell you this quick story, one time I went to see Jerry Lee, he told me, well, come on, I was in Atlanta living there, and he said, come on out and see me. He was playing 2 nights. He was playing 2 nights. Well, the first night I went out, he cussed the audience out and used every, vulgar word in the book, kicked the drums in, played about a half a song, and walked out. Next night he came back, he praised the Lord, and he sang all the gospel songs, and he played 2.5 hours, rock and roll, everything. And to this day, I don't know which show I enjoyed the most. Because that was Jerry. They were both shows. They were both shows.
It depended on his mood.
Yeah, it depended, right. And that's what he expressed on the piano.
Yeah.
So.
I knew J.W. Whitten, his road manager.
Yeah, I love J.W.
And I'd see him out a lot, hanging out with Gary Bells. But first time I met the Killer was at the old Alon's nightclub here.
The strip joint?
No. This is another Alon's.
Oh, yeah. Another Earle Farrell, too.
Definitely that. So
I knew I didn't see you there.
No.
Because I wasn't there.
Me either. But we walk in, and I see J.W. sitting at a booth with Jerry Lee. So I walk over, and he kind of waves to come over. So I introduced my date to Jerry Lee and shook hands, and J.W. And so we exchanged pleasantries, and I went and sit at a table with my date. A minute later, this waitress brings a bucket of champagne over and 2 glasses and said, Mr. Lewis said he wanted to buy you a bottle of champagne. I said, well, thank him very much. That was very, very nice of him. And so she poured the champagne, we take a drink. And a minute later, the waitress comes back and said, Mr. Lewis says if you don't come drink with him, he wants your champagne back.
Yep. There it goes.
There it goes. That was the mood he was in that night.
Man, we talked for years about Jerry Lee, what a great talent. And Elvis Presley and the whole Sun situation here. And I was the last person signed on Sun Records when it had moved to Nashville. But I went from RCA to Sun. Elvis went from Sun to RCA. I think we're only 2 that have ever done that.
Yeah. It's
not putting myself in Elvis, although I got a nice jacket on here from Lansky Brothers.
Clothier to the king.
Yeah, clothing to the king. And the Pope and the Pope too.
Yeah, but I understand the Pope's real name. His friends call him Bob, the new Pope.
They do?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's from Chicago, and they've been interviewing all these people, and they call him Bob. But it's do people call you? They ever call you Jerry Lee? Or I know you used to. The word was you were Jerry Lee's illegitimate son, but there was never any truth to that, right?
I mean, the more I think about it, I just wonder all the time. But I was adopted, and we had great talks about it, and they were mostly fun, lighthearted. But he knew some stuff that he shouldn't have known. I'll tell you that.
Well, he did kind of travel in your part of the country.
Yeah, he did, and
it ain't like you don't look like him, and it ain't like you don't play like him.
Walk like a duck, talk like a duck. Since we're at the Peabody, that's what they used to say. But I don't know. He's I do play.
You could. Well, and look at your son. It's like Willie Nelson's son. He can sing exactly like Willie. And
well, if nothing else, it proves that genetics are real.
Yeah.
I'll never doubt God or genetics.
No.
I mean, they
neither one of them lie.
That's you got that right, Earl. I guarantee it. Earl, boy, he's sharp today.
It's like Jerry Lee. I got my good days and my bad days.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. And I really appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you very much for asking.
I wanted you to be one of the first to come in because I think you are one of the great things about Memphis.
That's very kind. Appreciate it.
You play for a lot of charitable events here in the city, raise a lot of money for a lot of different people. That does not go unnoticed by people, and you're a good person. And I think that's why I wanted to let people know what you're really like, and I think we did today.
I'll play for any charity event. it's my band that has the problem.
They have a money problem, right?
Yeah, they have. It ain't charity for them. You know, I told my wife one time, I said, get in a bank account and call it, name yourself on their charity. So I'll go to a lot of shows. I say, we're going to sell a lot of our merchandise today. In 98, and I look over at my drummer. I say, is it 98 or 97? He goes, 98. I say, 98% of the money we sell from our stuff goes to charity. I said, charity, stand up a minute. Show everybody. Come down here. And it'd be my wife, she'll stand up. But because 98% of it goes to charity.
I
don't know what she does with the money, but well, I do have a farm up in Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, you're a great person, great talent, and I mean that sincerely. And I really appreciate you coming in and sharing some time with us. And we'll have you back. I'd like you to bring your wife next time, and we'll sit down both of you because
I say, she's the one.
Well, and I'm sure she can shed some light on other parts of your personality that we didn't get today.
Yeah, We'll cancel that show already. We don't. I mean, what light do you want? What kind of light do you want on the Earle Farrell show?
You may have a point there.
I mean, you may have to change the ratings on this thing.
That's like the preacher that everybody's to get up and tell him what sins they'd committed. And this guy tells his story, and the preacher goes, "I don't believe I'd have told that one."
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing some preaching myself, but
you can probably
I've got According to you, I'm a nice person and all that. Right back at you for what you've done to Memphis, Mr. Farrell. I guarantee it's been. They love you, and we love Memphis, don't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. And that is our show for today. I'm glad you got to share it. And it'll be up on the YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. Is now. Watch it. Get your friends to watch it and like it, and go see Jason D Wiliams and see Charity as well.
Yeah.
Buy all the merch you can buy. And come to Landskis. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Come on over, baby. Whole lot of shaking going on. Come on over, baby. Now, honey, you can't go wrong. I ain't begging. A whole lot of shaking going on. Let's shake, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Come on, baby, a whole lot of shaking going on. Well, come on over, baby, now we got the chicken in the barn. Whose barn? My barn. You wanna get it on? Come on, baby, all night long. Hey, let it shake it, baby, shake it. Take it, baby, shake it. Take it, baby, shake it. Come on, baby, get on board and take it. I ain't faking. Blow that trombone, blow it. And I had to wiggle, 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 wiggle. Feet rolled off the bone. Tell your little mammy and your pappy that your big daddy's coming home. I ain't faking. Oh, come on. Yeah. Shake. Come on. Shake. Everybody stand up. Now let's shake it one time. Come on, everybody. Let's get on your feet one time. Oh, let's shake, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Move it, groove it. Get down, boys, do it. Come on. Rodney Pope Williams playing for his brother. Gonna be all right. Mr. Mike Harper, been with me 30 years.